Okay, let's get started with actual programming now. Now remember the terms which we mentioned earlier. A program is a sequence of commands or instructions that are followed in order to carry out a task. A statement is a single line of code that performs a specific task, such as adding up two numbers. To run a program is to carry out the commands in that program. This is also known as to execute. Now, in this booklet which you are seeing, you will see Python commands, and below those commands you will see the results of those commands. But on your computer, if you're using idle, then after you type the commands into the editor, you can press F5, the F5 key on your computer, or go to the run menu and select run module. Then the results of those commands will be shown in a separate window. So if this is your idle screen, you will go to run over here and choose run module, or you can press F5 as shown here. Then the result of the commands you have put inside your file, well, first of all, if you haven't saved the file, it will ask you to save it, and then the result of whichever command you have put in your file will be shown in a separate idle window. Okay. Now, we'll start with the traditional first command in learning programming. We have here the print command. The print command displays something on the screen. So if you need to, start idle and open hello.py. That is if you had created it in our earlier lesson. If you hadn't, don't worry about it. You'll create it just now. So if you had already created it, go to the file menu on the top left of the idle window, choose open, and browse to the folder where you saved the file. If you had not created the file, then just go to file and choose new. Okay. Then type in the following command, then press F5 on your keyboard to run the file. Okay, so let me show you what it will look like for you. So if I'm in idle here, I go to file, new file, or file open if I'd already created the file. Then I type the command, let's look at the command, print hello world. Print, open parenthesis, open quotes, hello world, close quotes, close parenthesis. Then I go to run and press run module. It asks me to save the file. In this case, I'll call it hello2 since I already have a hello.py file. Or I can overwrite the one which is there, doesn't really matter. When I save that, it asks me to replace, I say yes. Then it shows the output here on a separate window, hello world. Okay. So if you follow those steps, you should have the same output also on your computer. And if that has happened, then you have successfully written your first program. You have successfully written and executed your first program. Now, this prints out the words hello world to our screen. Of course, we can put any other words within quotation marks and they will be printed onto the screen. So for example, I can say print, this is my second command. Okay, just to save time, let me copy this. And I go to my file. And I replace that. If I press F5 on my keyboard, it asks me to save. Then it prints, this is my second command. So it prints whatever I put here in the quotation marks and in the brackets or parentheses. So notice how we write the command. First we have the word print, the print command itself, then opening parentheses, then opening quotation marks, then the words that we want printed, then we close quote marks and close parentheses. Okay, so it's the word print, open parentheses, open quotation marks, the words that we want printed, close quotation marks, close parentheses. Also, please note that Python commands are case sensitive and are written in lowercase. Now, this is known as the syntax of Python. Syntax just means the rules of the structure of a particular language. It is a set of rules for writing in a language. The syntax tells us how to use various words and symbols in order for the computer to understand it. In the statement above, if we left out part of the structure, we would get an error message. So for example, in this case, we have not closed the parentheses. So if I go here and I removed this, for example, the closing parentheses, and I press F5, it asks me to save, and it gives me an error, syntax error. The opening parenthesis was never closed. Okay, so if I close it now, I press F5 again, now it runs without giving us an error. So the error might look like the one which I have shown you, it might look like this, but the computer will give you a message saying that there's something wrong. Okay, so error messages. From time to time you'll get error messages from Python. An error message means that something is not the way it should be. Maybe you forgot to type a command properly, or you forgot to close a bracket, and so on. Python will try to tell you what the problem is, and will sometimes tell you where the problem is, on which part of your code the problem is. You should read the error message and try to fix the error. With time you will get familiar with some error messages and you'll be able to fix the problems quickly. Again, make a habit of reading what the error message says. Alright? So that is our first command, the print command. It displays something on the screen. Okay, and secondly, if you get an error message, read it and try and figure out what it's saying and what it means. But with time, you'll get familiar with them. So don't panic. Okay, thank you. See you in the next lesson.